Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta. Well, the commodity prices remain volatile as the dollar index continues to hover near a one-year highs. The U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has announced that he will impose a 10% additional tariff on Chinese goods and a 25% tariff on all goods from Mexico and Canada. This is expected to strengthen the U.S. dollar further and put more pressure on commodities. Other factors impacting the commodity market include geopolitical uncertainties linked to the Ukraine-Russia war and Israel-Hezbollah, as well as the anticipation of a Fed rate cut in the month of December. When we take a look at silver, the precious metal has been on a bullish trajectory for the last few months. It has, though, seen a sharp decline of 10% in the past month following the U.S. elections. To discuss the outlook of silver, we are now joined by Michael DiRienzo. He's president and CEO of the Silver Institute. Michael, hi, thank you so much for being with us. First of all, on what does Trump coming as the U.S. president mean for various commodities, especially silver? We have seen commodity prices very, very volatile. How are you reading into this?
Well, thank you, first of all, Manisha, for the opportunity to join you today. Look, it's anybody's guess how this is going to affect the commodities complex, right? You know, when he was elected in 2016, it affected it to a certain degree. But you're right, the dollar is important as it is the currency that is used by so many nations across the world. And if it continues to rise, as it has since his election, it could have an impact on precious metals prices, and including silver. Now, look, it's not good news when you hear the word tariff, right? And you look at the high number he wants to put on China. Will that affect Chinese industrial demand? Potentially. That's a big part of the silver equation these days. It's a investment metal and it's an industrial metal. And right now, we'll just have to wait and see how this affects silver.
Oh, well, absolutely. Michael, we do understand that all of silver in the global markets and 60% of that use really comes in from the industrial markets right now. So when you look at the global markets, how much would you say China comprises of when it comes to industrial demand for silver?
Well, we just sort of looked at these numbers recently. We put out a press release 2 weeks ago looking at the interim prices and so forth of the complex since our World Silver Survey in April. We think that, China is going to be the leader again this year with respect to industrial demand. If you just look at their electrical and electronics component alone, that's expected to hit a new high of about 210 million ounces, which is roughly 6,600 tons. And to put that in perspective, just 2 years ago, their demand was about 3,900 tons with respect to just that one category. We do think globally, however, that certain components are going to rise over the year.
What is your sense on the Indian demand now going forward? Because here as well, while the investment demand continues strong, I mean, if silver ETFs is anything to go by, we've seen very, very strong AUMs come into that one. How would you look at the Indian demand investment, that is, vis-a-vis the global investment demand in silver?
Well, in terms of global investment demand, I mean, India is really keeping us in the game right now because we are projecting about a 15% decrease this year in terms of physical investment. And we're talking coins and bars. But on exchange traded products, we're looking at our first annual inflows into these products this year, the first in 3 years. And that has come along with the expectation of further Fed rate cuts. There have been some periods of dollar weakness, and the falling yields have benefited silver investment. At the end of October this year, Manisha, we're looking at global holdings in ETPs to be up about 8% from year-end 2023. And India is really leading the way with respect to this market. Now, we have the SLV, we have the PSLV, but let's face it, India's ETP market is relatively new, and there seems to be robust demand coming from your country. Thank you.
Well, the numbers do look good, and with the way the conversations are here in India, there are more and more people absolutely joining into that new product here. You spoke about the US Fed rate cut expectations, and that probability has continued to decline for the month of December. But as we get into 2025, what is your sense? Because the size and the speed of these rate cuts is something that the markets are getting very uncertain about.
Yeah, I don't know about December, and you're right about that. I think the game has changed a bit there, but we'll have to wait and see. But those that are paid to analyze the Fed, those that are in that market, the analysts are still projecting at least 2 to 3, if not more, cuts in 2025, and that will be great for the global precious metals complex. Traditionally, when the rates go lower, people are looking to get out of certain investments and go to hard assets, of which silver is one. And we're looking forward to a very good 2025. I mean, face it, 2024 has been great for silver. We're up about 27% on the year. And quite frankly, the silver price has been quite resilient.
So going forward then, Michael, what's your sense on prices? Because we've been reading those reports suggesting 36 and 38 and even $40 an ounce in the next year, or perhaps 2026. How is the Silver Institute looking at those numbers?
Well, we try to shy away from giving price projections, but when you look at a number like that, Manisha, we're very excited. That's a great number. If you get to 36, 37, 38 next year, you're looking at an average price probably about 32, 33. And the market really would appreciate that. Obviously, the silver members, our members would appreciate that. But quite frankly, those banks that you mentioned, not by name, that are making these projections are doing it for a reason. And the reason is that silver continues to be a valuable resource, and its future is extraordinarily bright with the green revolution.
Michael, what is the kind of deficit that we're looking at in this year? I mean, this is the fourth straight year of a deficit. Are we anticipating a deficit in 2025 as well?
We are indeed. We are in 2025. Yeah, we think the deficit is going to continue. This year, we're projecting it at about 182 million ounces. That will make the fourth consecutive year of deficits. And while I don't have an exact number for 2025 just yet, we are projecting that it will be a fifth year of deficits in the silver market.
What's the kind of physical buying that we've seen in silver? I mean, that has been quite interesting, because somewhere when the silver prices continue to run up, there was these reports that it's not just India, but a lot of West seems to be buying into silver as well. And then, of course, Michael, we've heard about silver-backed crypto and a lot of crypto buying as well.
Sure.
And then this whole competition between precious metals and crypto. How have you read all of that?
Well, it's an interesting question, Manisha, and quite frankly, while we do project there will be a decrease in physical demand this year with respect to bars and coins, we just think that it has to improve. I mean, look at the numbers were not great for this year. We're talking about a 15% down to a 4-year low, but we think that, taking India, for example, we think they're expected to enjoy higher bar and coin sales thanks to bullish price expectations, and of course, a cut in the import duty on silver bullion. So that's going to help as we go into 2025. With respect to the crypto and the gold and silver issue, look, at crypto is doing rather well. I mean, they're if you just take a look at Bitcoin itself. But you're right, there are a lot of innovators in that space that are using gold and silver as a backstop to these crypto devices or mechanisms. So we think that silver and gold will have a role in that space going forward.
A final question then, Michael, and a lot of people do say that the silver run can perhaps continue in 25 and 26 and 27, and then perhaps supply would catch up with the kind if those 2-3 years also see a run up coming in. Do you see more investments in mines? Do you see more silver supply coming into the market in the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, we are calling for just a very modest 1% increase in mine supply in 2024. And that's primarily due to some operations that were shuttered or under maintenance in 2022 and 2023 coming online again this year. It's going to be really difficult to meet the demand requirements of silver from newly mined supply sources. There just aren't any new deposits out there. As you know, only 30% of silver comes to the market from what's known as a primary silver mine. The rest is the byproduct of lead, zinc, gold, and copper operations. So until those ramp up, there'll be a supply and demand deficit in the market. But you did mention down the road, 2025, 2026, and so forth. We'll just have to see.
Well, that point is well taken, Michael. And as always, thank you so much for taking time out for CNBC TV18. So, well, yes, bullishness could continue in case of silver prices. 2025 could be a fifth straight year that we will be looking at a deficit in the global markets when it comes to silver. But with that, it's time for a short break. But don't go anywhere. We will discuss the outlook on agriculture commodities on the other side of this break.